Natural Resources Management Solutions. So I'll give the floor to him. We're glad you're here, Sean.
Like I said, my name's Sean Jones, and started doing consulting work about 10, 12 years ago out of a small company in Henderson, Kentucky, and we mainly dealt with coal companies. It led me to doing working for a coal company actually in Muhlenberg County, kind of handling all their environmental work, which we worked, I guess, for about 5 years. We never used a firm anywhere in this area, because there were none available. Mainly what we deal with is Clean Water Act, 404 and 402. 404 is Army Corps of Engineers. We do permitting for different developments, like I said, for coal companies, industry, and any developments. Anytime you go out to do a development or break ground on a new site, you're going to have to come in and have a 404 done if there's any disturbances to streams or wetlands. And the 402 program is the KPDS, MPDS, water discharge. It's mainly for industrial. Anytime you have large parking lots with oil and grease or anything, you have to have a stormwater permit. And what we do is we got a crew that goes out and we sample the water, take it to a lab we use out of Louisville, and they do an analysis and try to keep everybody compliant within the state parameters. And all this is guided and directed by the EPA. I worked for Oxford Mining for 5 years. They went out of business, and I went to work for a company out of Lexington who tried to open up a business down here, and started visiting clients and people and contacts I'd made in the coal industry, and everybody had told this company that the reason we're having you here is because of Sean, so they really kind of built my confidence up and seeing that I'd had built some good relationships. So naturally, the next step was for me to go out on my own. So with the help of my stepfather, Rick Whitledge, we kind of made that jump in April of this year, and it has taken off a lot faster and a lot better than I ever thought it would. And like I said, she's been on me about doing this. I'm not much of a speaker. I've done a lot of presentations to coal audiences for the technical work of what we do, but nothing, trying to sell the business and explain what exactly we do here. But like I said, we are a full service environmental consulting firm. We do focus on the Clean Water Act, but we also do more of a residential type work too. Anywhere from rain gardens to private lands management. If you want to have more birds, songbirds in your backyard, or more wildlife visuals in your backyard, from deer to turkey to rabbits to anything, we can help you with that. We also do a lot of work with erosion control. We try to do more natural type of work to help you with erosion problems, natural stream design, rock gardens, rain gardens, different things like that. We try to do everything natural. We do timber cruises. We do timber management. If you have a block of property you want to have timbered, we'll come in, mark your trees, depending on what kind of cut you want. If you want to save some certain species for wildlife or for future management, for future timber, we can come in and mark and help liaison you with the actual timber companies. We also do nuisance wildlife control. If you got any kind of problem with anything from geese to bats to possums to skunks to raccoons, beavers, we can help. We've got solutions for that. We're certified to come in and help with these animals. Like I said, mainly what we do is we do a lot of work right now with coal, hard rock, and metal, non-metal mining. And what our company does is we'll go out there for the 404 program. We'll go out and map your streams and wetlands and liaison between the company and Corps engineers to try to get these permits and help resolve any solutions. Right now, we're also in the process of getting certified to do hazmat cleanups and EHS, environmental health and safety. My wife is actually taking courses from Western, and I go January 19th through 22nd to a course in Tampa, Florida, to get my certifications to do hazmat cleanup. So we're trying to get our eggs out of doing mainly co-work and trying to develop into more industrial and environmental cleanups and spills, tank removals, and different things like that. Right now, we do not have a website. We're trying to get one put together by the end of the quarter, first quarter, which should help explain a lot more about what we do, some of the projects we've worked on, some of the streams and stuff that we built, wetlands we built, some of the monitoring programs we do for our clients, and kind of hit on a little bit more about what we do. It's kind of a different industry. It's definitely not anything people use every day, but until you need it, you don't know anything about it. And we do have brochures and cards to kind of explain a little bit more about what we do. I guess some of the things like the rain gardens, that's kind of a new thing around here. It's instead of building these retention ponds on these runoffs for different, like for parking lots and different things, we actually come in and put these rain gardens, and they're more aesthetically pleasing. They got native plants, native flowers, and an underground filtration system, and we use those in place of these sediment ponds. But I guess in a nutshell, it's about what we do. Haven't really had a chance to do much advertising or marketing because the state's so busy, and right now we're probably going to look at hiring another person. We got me and 2 others right now that are working, and probably looking at hiring another one in the near future, probably a little bit after the first year, because we do have a kind of a heavy load right now. And that's one of the reasons why I've been hesitant about doing this, because right now I could be billing hours and I'm not.
Well, thank you for being.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So, thanks. Business is interesting. Do you think that moving forward, do you expect more of your business to move toward the residential type work? It seems like that would be a completely different marketing pitch, completely different mindset than to work with the kind of the like the mine expansion or
yeah, I mean, I don't know that more of the business would be moving in that direction, but I would like to develop that portion because it is a whole new market and opening up a whole new things. Right now, like I said, everybody knows what the coal industry is doing right now. And I definitely do not like having all of our eggs in that one basket. I mean, we do a little bit other than coal, but right now it's probably about 85% of our business.
Yeah.
And I think this residential stuff, I've been to courses in North Carolina and a couple other places for stream design and some of this other developments, green construction, sort of say. And these rain gardens and all this other residential stuff and also commercial is what's really big in some of these other areas, and you're starting to see more and more come this way in different places. So I do think it'd be good for us to try to develop this residential type.
So what have been your biggest challenges? You're pretty new into this.
Federal government.
Not surprising.
Yeah, that's who we deal with every day. They are a challenge. I don't know if anybody here has dealt with the Army Corps of Engineers, but they are unbelievably difficult. We do deal a lot with the state agency here, the mining agency here. They're great, they're wonderful, they're very helpful. Just the federal is so different. EPA is so hard to deal with, too.
You're talking about the water gardens, size of a water garden as versus a retention pond.
Well, it's all going to depend on your watershed size for one, and it's also going to depend on your porosity of your site. Asphalt, it depends on your ratio of your asphalt versus soil. But they're about half the size of a retention pond. And like I said,
you got a whole parking area then.
That's right. And what it's designed to do is designed for these plants. Your water garden is designed in a way, your rain garden designed in a way where you put your wet plants in the middle and your drier, more messy plants to the edge. And it's designed for, not only do you have an underground system to get rid of your water, but also the plants are designed to absorb and thrive and live in this water system. So you can get away with a lot smaller footprint with these as opposed to the retention basin.
So if you came to my house to get the skunk out from under my house, where would he go live?
Well, I've got a couple of places.
Somebody
Depends on who I can find.
as long as you take him far enough away, he doesn't come out.
If you got one, what I'll do is I'll take it to your neighbor and then they'll call.
Yeah.
business plan,
It's called
yeah.
Sustainable water.
That's right.
That's good.
Sean, my impression from what you said is that when a phase one or particularly phase two environmental study is done and it raises concerns or questions about, especially on the water side, boom, you all get the referral. Do you do that broader phase one and phase two environmental study as well?
Yes, we do. I work with another firm out of Lexington. Like I said, there's 3 of us, so right now we're not equipped to handle the whole process, but I do work with another firm out of Lexington to help me with some of these phases. But yes, we can take on the whole project right now, and I've got everything in place we do bat surveys, any other endangered species surveys, any site assessment survey, any floodplain, anything, everything we need to do environmentally to get it.
Clearly, with phase one, I'm confident you're going to pay what the more in-depth, more technical would, but if, as you're expanding, as you bring on additional people, if you needed additional work to fill some of that time, then you're self-referring within the same company.
Yes, absolutely.
Moving from 1 to 2 to more in-depth.
So people that have retention ponds in now, what's the feasible of going in and removing retention pond, putting it in a rain garden?
Well, it's going to be, you can do it. It actually wouldn't be that bad because what you're going to do when you build these gardens, you're going to dig out what you have there anyway, and you're going to fill it with a different type of material. It's going to be a mixture of composite, sand, different things that's going to get rid of your water quicker. So what you would do is just, of course, you just fill half of it in with topsoil and then fill the other half in with your mixture. But you'll have to come off-site to find dirt and everything to fill it in. If you have one particular, where's your spoil? Is it close on site or is it?
That's not me, I'm just asking a question.
But yeah, we would come in, more likely, if the spoil's not there, you'd have to come in from off-site and truck it in, bring it in. Topsoil's, $100 for a triaxle load right now, company I'm working with, but then we can get it dumped in, fill it half, depending on what the numbers say. Fill in what we need to fill in and then take your rest and fill it in with a mixture that we deem appropriate. But which is good, one thing about it is your hole is already there, so all your legwork to put in all your plumbing would be a lot easier. So you build your plumbing, put your plumbing in, and then come back in, backfill your area, and then fill in your rain garden area.
I'm just scared, when you talked about the Environmental Protection Agency, when you said that that's like the biggest challenge, what makes it challenging? Is it that the regulations change so frequently, or is it just so exacting, or a process that's, what are you talking about there?
The biggest thing that makes it a challenge for any company, EPA, is regulatory, the people. They have these regulations in place, but depending on the personality of each regulator you have, is going to depend on what they do and implement with these regulations. It's a moving target. You might have one, you might do it. Let's take, for instance, a Corps of Engineers permit. You do a 404 permit with one regulator and get it issued, and you're looking at, depending on the scope of your project, you're looking at anywhere from 10 months to 2 years on a permit. And they're this thick. A binder, they're a 6-7 inch binder. It's a long drawn out process, but you get a permit issued. Well, you come back to that same guy or another regulator, they're the exact same permit, the exact same way. No, well, we want this, and this changed. Well, I just did it for him. Well, that's not the way we're doing it. So it's up to each one of these it's so gray, these regulations are so gray, it's left to interpretation by the person that you're working with.
Good grief.
So it makes it very difficult because it's constantly moving and changing.
Mhm.
So
That's interesting.
Like, for instance, I've done a stream design for a project right now for a company in Owensboro. Well, you base your streams on what's called a return interval. What that means is the frequency of how often that stream's going to get outside of its banks and flood. So you design your bank heights to handle these flood intervals. Well, everything I've been to courses for, this is what I've done for 10 years. I've always used a 1.2 a year, 0.2 months, or a year and 2/10 flood intervals. Well, now they're wanting me to do an 8-month or 8/10 of a year flood interval. Well, to me, that kills your stability. So I've done, I don't know how many permits with that, right, with 1.2 year. Well, now this guy said, well, it's the new thing, it's what everybody's doing. Well, who's everybody? And he couldn't answer that. I said, well, what kind of numbers do they have on stability, or what kind of issues they're running into? Well, I don't know yet. Well, I'm gonna do mine the same. No, you're not gonna tell them I'll reject your permit. I mean, that's where it's difficult.
Yeah.
And you know the
Yeah.
science, these guys don't know, they've never designed a stream and built one, but you're trying to tell them, they're trying to tell you how to do it, so it just makes it difficult.
What size project do you run into that starts running into all this difficulty? I mean, are you talking about somebody that's got a 1 acre parking lot, or are you talking about a, 100 acre coal mine? Or
If you got-
1,000 acre?
The way the new Clean Water Act rule was put in place this year, if your parking lot, or if you got a depression in your yard that moves water, it's jurisdictional now. I mean, if you're doing an eighth of an acre project, and you got it, 9 times out of 10, you're probably not gonna get caught. But if they do see you, if they do somehow get caught that you are putting fuel in a stream or a wetland, then you're gonna pay the fines, and these fines.
So does this apply like if you're even changing your parking lot texture? I mean, like, we got a building up here that's a gravel parking lot, and let's say we want to blacktop it, or concrete or whatever. It's gonna change the runoff rate.
No, that's not gonna be.
That's not, then,
What
okay.
this is gonna be, when you do, let's say you got a virgin piece of ground, and you wanna come in and build a Walmart, like they had at Walmart over there.
Okay.
They had to have, a company like me would come in, look at this property, and say, yes, there's no Corps engineering impacts. Write a letter, send it to the Corps, they'll send somebody out, look, and agree, and say there's no impacts. Or if you have one stream, or the way they got these new regulations, I mean, it's a puddle. I mean, they're taking jurisdictions over puddles. I mean, there's lawsuits all over. For some reason, Kentucky's not involved in these lawsuits, but there's already states suing the EPA and Corps engineers over this new, what they're calling jurisdictional waters. Because they're, like I said, the way the new regulations read, it's anything from puddle to these ditches that run alongside the roads, to anything that moves water, period. Anything that has a possibility of moving pollutants downstream. It's ridiculous. I worked with a guy, a farmer in Muhlenberg County. He cleaned up 15 acres of shrub woods. I mean, it was nothing that anybody would look at and say it's a healthy system. Well, it happened to be right across the street from one of our coal companies. Well, Corps engineers seen it, and he cleared it for farming. Well, went over to him and said, hey, you can't do this. Well, the guy got, it's my property, told him to go kiss off, and he left. Back with U.S. Marshals, AR-15s, took the guy to jail. Cost him $165,000, plus he had to come in and replant trees on this 12 acre piece of property.
That's kind of scary, really.
It is very scary. These guys, there's no accountability. I mean, like I said, it's hard to deal with. It really is. And I'm making these guys sound to be a lot worse than what they are, but it comes from the top down. When I first started doing this, you would do a permit, a 404 permits, Clean Water Act permit, and it would take you 8 months to do one on a 500 acre site. And you pretty much walked over streams. I mean, you assessed them, and they didn't mean much. Well, now it's developed to where this 500 acre project, you're looking at 2 years, 2.5 years. So it makes people, you really have to think ahead of time, because it's a long drawn out process.
Sean, you talked a little about the need to diversify the vision for growth of the economy, because where coal is these days. I think your company and your need to do that is a reflection of what our whole community, our whole region is needing to do to diversify the economy. And as coal is able, perhaps, to come back and be strong again, that's great. Diversifying our economy, diversifying what doesn't hurt if coal comes back. It just means all the eggs aren't in one basket, whether coal's running high or not. So it's one of the things that I think that it's probably too bad that Madisonville and cities like it didn't do back in the 80s or back in times when coal was riding high. There's a tendency to leave all the eggs in one basket because you're doing well. But we need to be doing that even if coal comes back.
Absolutely. I mean, it's not gonna be the last time it changes. If it does come back, it's not gonna stay back to the extent it was 5 to 10 years ago. I mean, it's just not. I mean, coal's been this my whole life.
Yeah.
And it's very important in this community. I mean, I'm seeing it in Muhlenberg County. I do a lot of work over there, and there's nothing. I mean, there's not much industry there at all. And
2 weeks ago, I was in Hazard doing a market study. We look great. Our coal, the environment looks great compared to theirs. There had people come here to try to work and stuff.
I got to keep my mind card up, and I do my 8 hours retraining every August. And every year, there's more and more people from East Kentucky in there doing training because they can't find work there.
Yeah.
It's just a bad situation.
John, what's your degree in? Where'd you go?
My degree is in wildlife biology. I went to school at EKU.
I knew that.
So my guess is I don't know anything about your business. It's been a very interesting presentation. So when you're talking about that frustration with the regulators, it sounds like probably a lot of what my guess is you absorb a lot of that frustration for your customers. That's probably the main reason that you stay in business, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I've got a good reputation with these guys.
Yeah.
And it's all because I do what I tell them I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And I tell my clients too that, hey, if you want me to work for you, you're going to do what we're telling them we're going to do, or it's not going to work. Like right now, I've got a client, and they've had a lot of issues. I mean, they've been mining for 5 years, and they've not. Let me go back a little bit. When you do a permit, one of the hardest part to get pushed through is what's called your mitigation plan. And that's pretty much a plan saying how you're going to put back these resources that you're tearing up, these wetlands, these streams. What are you going to do to compensate the loss for these things? So what I do is I come in and I design a plan to rebuild watershed. Your streams, your wetlands, where they're going to go. Well, the thing that these companies, and your Walmarts and your smaller developments are not that bad. They don't have the footprint of some of these larger mining companies. So what I tell these guys is, when we put this down, you need to make sure you mine with this in mind. So when you're coming in and you're laying your reclamation down, go ahead and build your stream valleys. Go ahead and build your wetland basins. Go ahead and get everything going as you're reclaiming. Because instead of going all the way to the end and then you don't have any of that stuff done, you're in a situation. Well, they've done it for 5 years and they haven't built anything back. So right now they're running out of coal. Well, I'm trying to get this permit pushed through, so I made a suggestion. Hey, what you need to do is come up with special conditions in this new permit saying that we'll concurrently, while we're mining, we'll concurrently start mitigation on all these other projects. Well, of course, to them, it looks like, you're going to be getting a lot of work out of this. But you got to get this done to get your money. I mean, you guys have been lax on this. So it's all dependent on your clients. I mean, so if you got a client that's got a good reputation on putting things back, doing things what they're supposed to be doing, it's going to be a lot easier to get your permit to work with these regulatory agents. But if you got one that's not, then you're going to have to think outside the box to try to get solutions to not only help, the problem with the government also, but they got an inherent responsibility to put these things back. I mean, if you're tearing it up, you need to put it back. I mean, that's just the way it is. And so, but a lot of times they don't want to hear that. I mean, they're especially in today's environment when the margins are so low and coal prices are so bad that they want to try to mine as cheap as possible. So that's one of the new things we're working on is how to make this thing cheaper while you're mining. And that all that goes back is when you're reclaiming, go ahead and reclaim with all this in mind. You got a stream on here, go ahead and backfill it where you got your valley in place. So.
You're obviously an expert in your field. I mean, I can tell when you're passionate about it. How have you handled things like payroll, bookkeeping, insurance, things like that? How's that process been? Simple answer, huh?
Give it to somebody else.
He delegates well.
Yeah.
I wish I had more time to do that kind of stuff, but Right now, I'm just looking, it's ridiculous.
So outsource is.
That's right. Rick, partners with me,
Okay.
he's helping me with all that. I mean, it's, like right now, we've only got, there's 3 of us, and it's not too terribly bad. And I do the invoicing, because when you're doing billable hours, and my chicken scratch on my notes, it's a lot easier for me to, hey, this is what I've done for these guys, this is what I've done. So I do all the invoicing, and he handles the payroll.
Does your business and all the permits and all the regulations that you have to follow, does that apply in emergency situations like FEMA, like if you get a flood or tornadoes?
No.
All the disastrous things that go on, can you go in and bid against FEMA and other regulatory?
You know, if I think I'm hearing you right,
You can't go in, your company can't go in and contract with FEMA or?
yes, we can, and that's what one of these things we're looking at possibly doing, getting involved in. That's like with the hazmat cleanups.
Right.
Now, there still are certain standards whenever you do have to deal with a PCB leak. You know, there's certain standards you're gonna have to, granted, on an emergency situation like that, they're not gonna know. They're not gonna know what transformers are doing, like what are, all your power lines are blown down.
So the permits, I mean, the regulations just kind of go out the window. I mean, does that apply?
The delay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just sometimes it just seems
When
like.
you got such a big scope of, it's hard to generalize on exactly everything that's went wrong. I mean, you can't go out and say, well, you got a spill here, when you got a whole forest laying over top of the power line, from a tornado, they can't go out and say, well, you got this, and this, or each power line, or each, when I'm saying power line, your transformers, maybe not your newer ones, but they got PCBs in them, or something where they might leak. And if you do have that, it's a whole process. I mean, you have to come in, dig your soil out, test. When you think you've got all the material, you got to test the soil that's underneath all that after you dig it out to make sure you've got alleviated all that problem. Take that material to a certified landfill that's capable of holding that material. Then you got to do water tests downstream to make sure none's entered the watershed, and make sure you're not eligible to release that site until you're completely clear. So on an emergency situation, I've never been involved.
Well, I just wondered if you're protected in case you did do something wrong, like there was somebody detects or says that you did something wrong. If your permits and your certifications protect you from being sued or have to go back and redo work that you can't.
Emergency situation, everything pretty much does go out the window. I mean, it's all about getting the community back up and going as quick as possible.
Is a good part of your business taking care of the problems that's already out there, or seeing ahead and helping people to keep from having a problem?
I like to get on the front end, to stay in front of people. Hey, this is what I've seen in the past, and this is what you're headed to, so you need to get this right now going. But most of the time, most companies, it's lax, and I'm coming in putting Band-Aids and fixing everything. So, but it's a lot better if you can stay, a lot cheaper if you can stay out on front.
You're talking about clients, and sometimes they maybe don't want to listen to you. I can recall looking at a legal client of mine when I was in St. Louis practicing, and saying, you're paying me way too much money to not listen to my advice. Let me refer you elsewhere. So sometimes, for your own sanity, for your own company's reputation, if you got a client that, I don't know if you've ever gotten to this place with anybody, but if you got a client who's just not listening to your advice, mud splatters,
Well, I had, for instance, this summer, I worked with a client, and they were working on a mitigation stream. Well, they had built this stream, and they're not rock-lined ditches like they used to be. I mean, we've got to go in and, they're engineering features. I mean, you wouldn't believe what goes into making a core engineer stream. We were building it. This is the third time the stream's been rebuilt. They've had 2 other companies come in and help them. Well, we get out there, and I'm telling this guy, how to do this, and it's the owner's son, in which he's now president of the company, and he did not want to hear it. I mean, we were looking at this footprint of the stream, and it doesn't have a big watershed, but they've got it where it's 8 feet wide. You wouldn't believe the water coming through. He'd tell me, I'm trying to make it this wide, and he just does not. He can't understand it. And we fought and fought and fought. And finally, I was like, look, you want to find somebody else come in here and do it? then go ahead. But I've been doing this for years, and you guys have failed, just trust me. Well, we got to build this thing, and once he's seen how we put these structures in, and it is gonna stabilize the system, well, it has, and they got it passed. The Corps of Engineers passed it this year. It's the first time, this, like I said, the third time we built, so now he's 100% believer. And I sent him to a course in North Carolina this year, him and his right-hand guy, to understand this stream building, how to build these, how to implement these structures, because if you got a guy that's working with you that understands, then it's a whole lot easier. And it keeps me from having to be on site 100% of the time. So. Any other questions?
I know your business is a little different than a lot of others and more technical, but in general, do you have any advice to give to a new business owner or someone who's thinking about starting their own business? Are there things that you did that you'd like to say this was great, or things that you'd be like, I made this mistake, don't do it, or just?
It took me 2 years to do this. I looked at this and stuck my foot out, and it took me a long time to make this jump. I've got 3 kids, I've got a wife, and a lot of people depend on me, so it was so hard and scary for me to make this jump. But what helped me out is I had 2 clients already told me, if you do this, we'll stay with you. So I stayed humble, I stayed small footprint. I've got an office that is not much bigger than these tables right here put together, but it's cheap. It's keeping me grounded and keeping me, it's plenty of what I need. And we did not go out and take out all these huge loans. We did not go out and I like to have a brand new building. I like to have all that, but for us to get going and get started, I kept it small. I stayed humble. I stayed within our means. And I don't think that you have to go out and get these big loans and go out and get yourself in debt going, starting off. So, the only advice I would say is, stay within your means. Stay small and grow. It's kind of like an oak tree versus a willow. Oak tree takes forever to get big, but an oak tree's strong. Willow gets big fast, but it's very weak. So that's kind of the way I base this on it, is I want to grow out my roots, grow underground, and get everything going, and get my foundation set before we start branching out. And it scares me. This growth, how fast this is coming, it's kind of got me freaked out. And it's almost like you're afraid to fail, but you're just afraid to succeed. So that's my biggest advice, I guess I can give.
Do you guys have a feeling now that you're being pushed to grow too fast?
I don't know that I'm being pushed as much as that I'm.
Maybe you're being.
The momentum.
I guess I'm being pushed in the sense that I want to get away from doing this cold, because that scares me to death right now. Especially if this administration change does not go the way I would like for it to go. It's really going to scare me. So I don't know what the future holds. Right now, everybody's attacking the industry that's paying my bills right now. So I've got to be able to get out from underneath that. So, and it's wide open. Like I said, when I worked for Oxford, we did not use a single local company because there's none to use. And these developments, I-69 projects, they're all coming from Lexington, Frankfurt, all these consultants. None of them are local. And there's a niche here, and we're trying to get on it and get involved and trying to get in. Like I said, there's a lot of things going on right here. You got this a Walmart area is going to start developing, and who knows what's going to happen all up and down I-69. So we're trying to get in, and I've been marketing for weeks, but I just haven't gotten out to do it. I've been pushing. I'm gonna do it next week. I'm gonna start next week, but I just have not. I can't get myself away from work to get out and do it.
That's it. Somebody to do what you're doing and do what you do well to get out and go do it.
And that's another problem I have, is letting go of some of these duties, because I've been in this for so long. I know exactly how I want to do things and how things need to be done. It's hard for me to let go, and I have one of the guys I've got working for me. I've totally given him the 402 projects, the MPDS, the stormwater discharge projects. I've given it to him, and he'll call me, ask me questions, and find it yourself. Call state. You all the numbers, all your contacts, you can figure it out, and it's worked well. So it's allowed me to let go of that part.
I see an advantage to your business, and I'm thinking about, okay, your business compared to the one I started a lot of years ago, and you came into a community where you virtually don't have competition in your field, locally. You're also into a business that is not seasonal, it's not a fad, so your services are gonna be needed and required by somebody, no matter whether you do it or not. Somebody's gonna be needing these services, and that's a good thing to base a business on. And when we came in '73, it was a refrigeration business. Everybody that had any significant refrigeration, they either paid travel time to somebody or they dealt with us. There just really wasn't much competition for what we were doing. And we were very small and tried to stay very lean because we were kind of running scared, thinking, man, this thing, it's not gonna hold up, but it did. So I think you'll be fine.
One of the other advantages that I have is I deal with people that nobody wants to deal with.
Yeah, we did too. But most of ours, all of ours were really to the point where they were great customers. We had once in a while, and every business has got it, where you come in and you just don't want to deal with them. There have been times I have told them that, listen, we're not happy with each other, you need to go deal with somebody else. And I think every business has had that, but at least I'd like to think.
Is this a Christmas miracle? Did Bruce actually say something encouraging to somebody? Awesome.
Am I that negative?
No, you're realistic, you're realistic. That was very encouraging.
I appreciate it.
Anyway, but you'll be fine.
Well, the thing about it is, environmental regulations, they never go backwards. Once they're in place, they might not be enforced as hard, but they never go backwards. So I definitely see in the future, the more aware the populace is becoming of our environment, they kind of green everything. Trust me, I'm not a tree hugger or anything like that.
You know,
I do think the awareness is coming, and it's getting more and more every day.
I think the stormwater issue clearly is going to continue to grow. It's not only the discharge side, but the water itself, the quality and the erosion side of it. And from the city perspective, right now I chair the water, wastewater, stormwater engineering committee, and I'm having to learn lots. And it's just more and more and more and more regs coming
It
our
was
way.
the fastest changing program I've ever been involved
Yeah.
in. I mean, regulatory, the way it has changed in the last 2 years is phenomenal. I mean, right now, we went from sampling and having about 6 different analyses we have to run to twice a month. And now we have to do twice a month, plus another monthly sample, plus 2 quarterly samples, plus what's called a wet test. And this is beyond imagining. We have to take a water sample, wait 2 hours, take another gallon sample, ship it to the lab. They take their water, this water, mix it with their water, put a fatted minnow and these Daphnia water fleas, which you can, if you put water too fast in these water fleas, it kills them. But they gotta have not only survivability in this water, but also have to reproduce and grow. And the kicker is these things don't even occur in Western Kentucky now. So how do you expect these companies to pass these things? I mean,
Wow.
you put food in the water that you send.
They're like sea monkeys.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing. That's what I told the other day. I said, if we could somehow culture these things to where they can live in acidic water and then sell them to these companies doing this, we make millions.
There you go, always thinking.
You worked with McCoy and McCoy, and
No, not much. You know, I've heard that they're trying to get away from doing much with coal, is what I've been told. I don't know if it's true or not, but I work with a company out of Louisville that has been really great. And they've got a whole division, and that's all they deal with is coal, and they're a huge lab.
How are you gonna find your next person?
That's a good question. I've talked to a couple of people that college professors I've had. I've actually got one in mind. He's from Owensboro. He lives in Lexington now. He's working for a company in Lexington that is really shrinking. They deal with East Kentucky, and they were pretty violent before. And he wants to move back to this area. just don't have, hiring employees is so difficult because you're so scared because your workload might be here today, but who knows what's gonna be tomorrow, so.
Yeah.
And this guy here, what I like about him is he can come in right away and handle all the things, and not only that I'm jobbing out, but also take some responsibility off me. He can do permits, he can do, we do macroinvertebrate surveys on streams, we do fish surveys, we do, like I said, he's certified to do endangered species surveys, Indiana bats, northern long-eared bats, and, so he's got a lot of certifications that we're jobbing out right now.
It just, I don't know if this makes sense for you, but so I've got a little writing and marketing business, and I tried hiring initially, and I just found it wasn't right for me because of the workflow issues, and also I do the job. I'm not really a manager, not a particularly good entrepreneur, for example, and that's not really why I do it. And what I found was more is if I could associate myself with other people I could trust, we could kind of work share, and I could push clients. You don't want to give away too much business, but by the same token, if it's somebody that you have a good, respectful, competitive relationship with, then you don't have to worry about them trying to steal all the business forever, but they can take a job on and you can trust their work. I don't know if that would make sense.
And that's kind of what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
Like I said, with this firm in Lexington, and then I've got another mining engineer, professional engineer in Newburgh, Indiana, that I used with some of my permitting stuff. A lot of times when you do state permits, any kind of revisions to a state permit, you gotta have an engineer stamp. Now, Corps of Engineers or anything, the water discharge permits, anything with Clean Water Act, they don't require an engineer, but with a lot of state work, they do require a PE stamp. And so I work with him a lot, he helps me a lot, I trust him, and he's actually looking to get me a stream position or a job this summer, so we do kind of liaison. And this other company here out of Lexington, they're sending guys down here, they service a lot of Alliance and Patriot. Well, it doesn't make sense for them to come down here and do the field samples with macroinvertebrates, so send the guy down here, they're having to charge a lot more money, where they can send me out, our company out, and I can knock them out and ship the samples back to them. So we're kind of building that kind of relationship right now.
Another thing you might look at when hiring somebody, I worked for a search firm in Newburgh for a couple of years, and I had, one of my clients was a testing facility or a company in Evansville. And I had to go out to, they were hiring somebody to work with them. And I remember going out to one of the power plants, and I had to wear the hard hat and go out and find out what the job was and do, all that kind of stuff. But and we have several really good ones here in town, the search firms, but they take on the liability of the employee for a while so that you can kind of see how it's going to go before you actually hire them on as a full-time employee. Yeah, like I know People Plus does that, and they can, if you find somebody, or they can help you find somebody, and that way, someone help me out here and explain this a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So,
He presented last.
yeah, Ron Sanders talked about it, and they have a system where they're their employee for, you say, like 90 days or whatever, and then if something comes up, they take care of.
Is it local, or do they go out of town looking for people as well?
I think they do both.
Because I know, like
They
right
got
now,
7 offices across the state.
Yeah, so they have a network and they can find people. So
this work, what we do is so specific, and it's very hard to find somebody to
yeah,
jump
well,
in.
that's national search. I mean, I'm sure they do national search. Don't
I
they?
guess my question though, and I was out of state last week, so I didn't hear Ron's presentation, but I wonder if for the kind of professional position that Sean's talking about, I mean, is somebody going to leave a current position and move to an area?
Well, there's a situation for everybody. You never know. That's the thing. You don't know unless you
Like this
ask.
guy that I've been talking
Yeah.
about, he wants to move back down. this way.
Exactly. So I mean, he would be good, but in the future when you.
A lot of times when I worked before, 90% of the people we would hire in are people not far out of school trying to get experience. So we had a guy come from Alaska come down here just because they wanted, and he worked for 2 years and left. And that's what a lot of what you got, is these guys coming here to try to get experience doing all these different facets of the industry to take to where they might want to end up in life, to have that experience to go back there to try to finalize their career. So that's kind of a lot of what you get into those type of situations. And it's, as a company, and it's always hard to hire somebody that, granted you can pay them a lot less, and, they're usually not looking for benefits, they're just wanting to come in and get experience, but it's hard to train somebody for somebody else, and I guess it's just part of the part of
I guess just don't rule any avenue out, because there's
Absolutely.
always, somebody that can help you, that's their job. And it may not be a firm here in Madisonville, I would hope, it would be, but there may be, one that's doing national search that, actually has contact with those kind of people, so.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's a
It
way
would
to look at
appear to
it.
me that a win-win situation would be someone who has the certifications you need and wants to move to this area permanently. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And like I said, right now, we're really looking hard at this hazmat. I mean, it's something that is, it's not going away. It's definitely something that's going to sustain us right now with, and get us out of doing just cause in mining in general. Like I said, we do some opportunities and metal mining and other mines as well. But, one of the things that, your smaller footprints, a factory like Atlanta Frost come in, I don't know, probably nobody knows that right before you get to Atlanta Frost, there's a ditch right there. They had to come in and build, plant trees around it, it's a mitigation ditch that they had built. And I don't know, does anybody, I guess you guys have contacts, and you have experience with what they're doing there, or?
It's been an interesting site, let me leave it at that.
Well, I was just wondering who's doing the
Multi-year.
monitoring.
Pardon me?
Is someone monitoring that ditch for them right now? Do you know?
Jamie, do you know the backstory
I do not
on
know.
that?
It's before my
I had a
time.
conversation with Gerald about that, but I've slept since then. But I do know that it was quite a site.
Yes.
Whether it's currently being monitored.
And the reason I say it is you're supposed to submit annual
Right.
monitoring.
Exactly. That might be a good contact for you to make. I bet somebody back here can give you the contact information if you need it.
Appreciate it.
Doesn't sound like he was looking for more work.
We'll turn it down.
Looking for different work, though.
It's right here.
Yeah.
Always.
But a lot of times, these small footprints like that, instead of building back on site, what they'll do is pay into the in lieu fee fund for the state of Kentucky. And, but the only problem with that, especially on your bigger footprints, when you tear up 100 feet of stream, it's not that bad. It's about $375 per foot is what it generally costs. And depending on the health of the stream, the score of the stream, there's certain parameters you go out when you assess these streams and you assign it a score based on different environmental parameters. And depending on that score is going to be how much you have to pay. But you can come in on a small footprint and pay that money, and it goes to the state fund, and you're relieved from any mitigation duties. This project I'm working on now for a company in Owensboro, it's $4.6 million. So it's not profitable for them to pay into that fund. It's better for them to come in and build it back. So, anything else?
Anybody have any more questions for Sean?
That was really great. Thank you.
I found this presentation really interesting just because Sean's office is next door to my salon, and I watch him walk in and out constantly to his truck, and there's a cooler, and he's changing shoes, and we're making up all these wild stories about what he's doing. So we're glad to know the actual truth, and then he brings another guy in. So there's another guy going back and forth to the truck constantly all day long. So we've talked about you several
Trucks
times.
are completely.
They're all money, there's coolers, there's lots of stuff going on. So in a hair salon, we like to make things up. So we have made up some really good stories about what you're doing. So I'm really
Good
excited.
premise for a movie.
Yeah. Oh, well, maybe I'll just keep it going. But anyway, so I was really glad to have you here today, and I know everybody else was. We've got several new faces in here today, so if there's somebody that would like to be a presenter, I'm working on Penny. I'm hoping she's going to do that for us. We've got lots of things planned for 2016, so we should have some really exciting things for you all for next year. Again, we won't meet next week because that's Christmas Eve, or the day before Christmas Eve, and we won't meet the day before New Year's Eve. So we will be back. I don't know what the date is in January.
A little while ago.
January 8th, maybe.
6.
Okay,
Six.
so we've got new exciting things for 2016. We hope everybody has a Merry Christmas, and we'll see you in the first of the year. Thanks for coming.
I'll take one.